Napoleon Bonaparte, once master of Europe, was a shadow of his former self. The man who had once commanded vast armies and reshaped the continent was now a prisoner of his own ambitions and the relentless march of history. Defeated at Waterloo, he was a prisoner. The battle that had once promised him glory instead sealed his fate, marking the end of an era and the beginning of his downfall. The British, fearful of his return, exiled him. They knew that as long as Napoleon lived, he would be a symbol of resistance and rebellion, a threat to the fragile peace they had fought so hard to achieve. His destination? The remote, windswept island of Saint Helena. Far from the European continent, it was a place chosen for its isolation and harsh conditions. Saint Helena was designed to break him. The island's desolate landscape and unforgiving weather were meant to crush his spirit and ensure he could never escape. Isolated in the South Atlantic, it was a far cry from the bustling courts of Paris. The vibrant life he once knew was replaced by the monotonous sound of crashing waves and the endless horizon. Gone were his advisors, his armies, his power. The halls that once echoed with the sounds of strategy and command were now silent, and the statues of his loyal followers lay broken and forgotten. He was a caged eagle, his spirit slowly eroding, yet Napoleon endured. Despite the isolation and the constant surveillance, he found ways to keep his mind sharp and his will strong. He dictated his memoirs, reliving past glories. Through his writings, he sought to shape his legacy, to ensure that history would remember him not just as a fallen emperor but as a visionary leader. He railed against his captors, a lion still defiant in his cage. His spirit, though battered, remained unbroken, and he continued to challenge the world around him. But his health, once robust, began to fail. The harsh conditions of the island, combined with the stress of captivity, took a toll on his once vigorous body. The once energetic emperor grew weak, his energy fading. Like a withered flower, his strength ebbed away, and the light that once burned so brightly began to dim. His health deteriorated steadily. Stomach pains plagued him. He grew thin, his face gaunt, his energy, once boundless, was now depleted. The once mighty Napoleon was fading away. On May 5, 1821, Napoleon Bonaparte died. He was 51 years old. His physician, Francesco Antomarchi, conducted the autopsy. The cause of death? Stomach cancer, he declared. The official report stated that a large lesion had ravaged Napoleon's stomach, leading to his demise. The news of Napoleon's death sent shockwaves through Europe. Some mourned, remembering the emperor at his zenith. Others celebrated, relieved that the man who had shaken the continent was gone. But whispers began to circulate. Whispers of foul play, whispers of poison. The rumors started almost immediately. Napoleon, they said, had been murdered by his enemies. The British, eager to silence him permanently, had poisoned him. The whispers grew louder with time, fueled by suspicion and speculation. In the 20th century, scientific analysis seemed to confirm the rumors. Hair samples taken from Napoleon throughout his life were tested. The results were shocking. High levels of arsenic were found, far exceeding normal levels. The conclusion seemed clear: Napoleon had been systematically poisoned. The arsenic theory gained traction. It was a compelling narrative, full of intrigue and betrayal. Napoleon, the fallen emperor, murdered in cold blood by his jailers. It was a story fit for the history books. However, the poisoning theory, while tempting, is not without its flaws. Many historians and medical experts have debated this theory extensively, pointing out inconsistencies and lack of concrete evidence. The idea of Napoleon being poisoned adds a layer of intrigue to his already dramatic life, but it may not be the most plausible explanation. Napoleon's health had been declining for years. By the time he was exiled to Saint Helena, he was already suffering from a myriad of health issues that plagued him daily. His physical condition was a far cry from the robust and energetic leader he once was. He had suffered from a variety of ailments, from hemorrhoids to skin conditions. These were not just minor inconveniences but chronic issues that significantly impacted his quality of life. His medical records indicate a long history of suffering that only worsened over time. Years of campaigning, often in harsh conditions, had taken their toll. The relentless pace of military life, combined with the stress of leadership, wore him down. The physical and mental demands of his campaigns were immense, and they left him exhausted and vulnerable to illness. His lifestyle was also a factor. Despite his military discipline, Napoleon indulged in the luxuries available to him. His habits and choices in daily life contributed to his declining health. Napoleon was known for his prodigious appetite and love of rich foods. He enjoyed lavish meals that were often heavy and rich, which likely exacerbated his health problems. His diet was far from the balanced nutrition needed to maintain good health. He was also a heavy drinker, often consuming large quantities of wine. Alcohol, while a common indulgence of the time, added to the strain on his already weakened body. His drinking habits were well documented and certainly did not help his deteriorating condition. These habits, combined with the stress of his position, undoubtedly contributed to his declining health. The pressures of ruling an empire coupled with his personal indulgences created a perfect storm for his health issues to escalate. Moreover, Napoleon's family had a history of stomach cancer. This genetic predisposition was a significant factor that cannot be overlooked. The hereditary nature of his illness suggests that his fate might have been sealed by his genes. His father Carlo had died from the disease. This familial link provides a strong argument for the genetic theory. The similarities in their symptoms and the progression of the disease are striking. It is entirely possible, even probable, that Napoleon succumbed to the same genetic predisposition. While the mystery of his death may never be fully resolved, the evidence points strongly towards a natural cause rooted in his family's medical history. The type of arsenic found in Napoleon's hair also raises questions. This discovery has led historians and scientists to delve deeper into the circumstances surrounding his death. The tests revealed high levels of inorganic arsenic, a common ingredient in pesticides and paints in the 19th century. This raises the possibility that the arsenic could have come from a variety of sources, not necessarily from a deliberate act of poisoning. It is possible that Napoleon was exposed to arsenic through environmental contamination, rather than deliberate poisoning. During that era, arsenic was prevalent in many household items, including wallpaper, which could release toxic dust into the air. Furthermore, the symptoms of arsenic poisoning do not entirely match Napoleon's decline. Historical records indicate that while he did suffer from some symptoms consistent with arsenic poisoning, there were notable differences. Arsenic poisoning is typically characterized by rapid weight loss, vomiting, and diarrhea. These symptoms are usually severe and progress quickly, leading to a rapid decline in health. While Napoleon did experience some of these symptoms, his decline was more gradual and consistent with stomach cancer. His medical records and the accounts of those who were with him during his final days suggest a prolonged illness. Finally, there is the question of motive. If someone had indeed poisoned Napoleon, what would have been their reason? While the British certainly considered Napoleon a threat, they had him securely imprisoned. He was exiled to the remote island of Saint Helena, far from the political centers of Europe. Why risk assassination and potential scandal when he was already neutralized? The political climate of the time suggests that keeping him alive, yet isolated, was a more strategic choice. The mystery of Napoleon's death remains. The evidence is compelling on both sides. The arsenic levels in his hair suggest poisoning, but his declining health, family history, and the nature of the arsenic itself point towards natural causes. Ultimately, it is impossible to say with absolute certainty what caused Napoleon's death. The passage of time has obscured the truth, leaving us with tantalizing clues but no definitive answer. Was Napoleon poisoned? The possibility remains, but the evidence is not conclusive. Napoleon's death, whether by poison or disease, marked the end of an era. He was a complex figure, a brilliant military mind, a ruthless dictator, and a charismatic leader who left an indelible mark on history. His legacy continues to fascinate and divide. Was he a hero, or a tyrant, a visionary, or a despot? The debate rages on, fueled by the same passions he ignited in life, and at the heart of it all lies the enduring mystery of his death, a puzzle that may never be fully solved.